Colin Powell. We begin the second segment with what really teed off the general, causing him to make strong public comments. The fuse? Former Governor John Sununu campaigning for Mitt Romney, calling President Obama lazy. You objected to Sununu, who was the biggest Mitt Romney surrogate, during the campaign. Sununu called President Obama lazy. Now, you know Sununu. You've known him for a long time. You don't think Sununu's a racist, do you?
No. I didn't call him a racist.
No, but you said that wording sends the code.
It does.
Said, in his opinion, he was lazy on an issue. It wouldn't matter if he was white, purple, or green.
He said he was lazy after the first debate, and he said it a couple of times.
So what?
Well, let me finish. I'll tell you so what. It so shocked the person who was interviewing him. They said, do you really want to use that word, knowing? But John said other things that were troubling. He said, the president wasn't a real American. What is that supposed to mean to somebody? What do you mean he's not a real American?
But it was in the heat of the campaign. He's a partisan. I'm not defending Sununu's choice of words. I'm not.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
I'm not defending it. But I'm saying to you, I know Sununu. You know Sununu. He's not a racist. So why even bring it? Just say he was foolish to put it that way.
Let me tell you why. I would never call John a racist, and he used some very poorly chosen words in my judgment, and I think he might agree with it in retrospect.
Sure.
But you have to understand the impact this has on minorities throughout our country, and if you want to appeal to these people, if you want to bring them to the Republican Party and give them the reason to vote Republican, you have to avoid this kind of language which can infuriate people and cause them to go vote.
I agree that there has to be a thought put out to reach out to those precincts, but I didn't think, with all due respect, General, and you know I respect you, that making a racial issue out of a Sununu, who was a blatant partisan, was the right thing to do. And you did it with Sarah Palin when this shucking and jiving stuff. Governor Palin is a performer. She's performing for her crew. She's not a racist.
I didn't call her. You keep saying that, but I didn't use it.
That was the context of your remarks were put there.
I know. And the term, you keep saying they were appealing to their base. They're speaking to their people. I think they have to speak to a larger group of people for the Republican Party.
And that's a valid point.
To get back on the right track.
But you understand the point I'm making, though.
I know the point you're making.
Right. So your remarks were taken then and branded on the GOP, the Republican Party. They're a bunch of racists. They don't care about the minorities, blah, blah, blah. And that's not true.
I know that's not true, but I'm telling you there is this vein of intolerance within the party. When you say, let's self-deport people, 47%. There are a lot of things the party has to look in the mirror at and say, is this who we want to be?
I got two more questions for you. Number one, you being who you are, a traditional guy, wounded in Vietnam, served his country, patriot guy. By supporting as actively as you did Barack Obama, you also put yourself in a category of intolerance on issues like entitlement culture. When you yourself were born in the South Bronx and you made it on your own, the entitlement culture now extends to 50% of the American homes. All right? Huge rise in it. So you're putting yourself in that bracket by supporting the Democratic Party through Barack Obama, who it seems their values are different than yours, General.
Yes, I was raised in the South Bronx, but I can assure you it was Social Security that kept my parents in respectable comfort after they had retired, and they paid into that.
But that's not means tested. That's not what I'm talking about.
I would have means testing in a heartbeat. In fact, I should be means tested. I think there are a lot of things we could do with entitlement reform. I think there are lots of areas in our government where we can take a hard look, entitlement reform, other areas, and there are ways to cut the budget.
Okay, but the president isn't doing that.
Remember one thing, Bill. It is the Congress that passes appropriations bills that pays for the bills that we have incurred.
But you know Barack
Obama
Obama is behind the big spending juggernaut. Now, this is a rude question, and I'm sorry to have to ask it. You ready? This is the scuttlebutt in Washington on the Republican side. They say, it's been said to me by more than one, that you're angry with the Republicans because that made you look bad in the weapons of mass destruction deal during the Iraq War. I don't believe that. I have to go on the record and say I don't believe that that's what's motivating you. I think you're genuinely a sincere guy, an American who sees it the way you see it. I disagree in some areas. I agree in others. But this is around that Cheney and these guys, you didn't like them. You had no use for Cheney. You had no use for this war. You did what they asked you to do. It turned out there were no weapons of mass destruction, and you held that. You want to comment on it?
That's a bunch of nonsense. I presented the information that we all had from the intelligence community, and when I went to the UN, it was with the assurance of the CIA that the information I had was correct. Mr. Cheney used that same information. The president did. All of our commanders thought it was correct, and we all were saying so. The Congress voted on the basis of that information.
Absolutely, and I did too.
4 months earlier,
right
before I spoke. And so I made a choice based on the information I had, and I don't have to answer idiotic questions like that one about whether I'm mad at somebody.
I appreciate it, General. That wasn't too bad, was it? Coming in.
I had a good time. Invite me back, Bill. Don't forget to send the book.
Listen, I salute you, man. You know me. I think you're a patriot, and I wanted you to come on this program, and I wanted you to speak your mind in front of this audience. I think it was an important interview, and we're very happy you did it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill.